Well, it's January the 23rd, 2012, and I've reached Arras, some 2,650 miles into the walk. And this place has a very special significance, because very much without it, I wouldn't be here. And the reason for saying that is that it is the Arras Memorial, and just behind me is recorded the name of George Hutton Walton, who was my great-grandfather. So very literally, without him, I wouldn't be here. And without many others, we wouldn't be enjoying the freedoms that we have today. So this is a remarkable place, very significant, and I've been here for about 45 minutes, just quietly, a little time of prayer, a little time of walking around. But it has been quite moving, quite uplifting in many ways. When I think of my great-grandfather, I think of all the stories that I was told about him and how he died. He was in the Royal Army Medical Corps, and his ambulance took a direct hit with a shell. And of course he doesn't have a grave, and that keeps him in common with about 35,000 people whose names are recorded on these walls, who have no known grave. Again, that brought home some of the horror there must have been around that time, almost a century ago in this area, when in the Battle of Arras in 1917, 159,000 people died. That's Commonwealth dead, in 39 days. That's 4,000 per day in a single battle over 39 days, just on one side. Absolutely incredible. And the horrors that must have gone on here at that time. But I tried to think, what could I sort of take away from it which was in any way a sense of hope about the future. Sadly, the events of World War I were to be repeated in World War II just 30 years later, so you cannot really say that the sacrifice of all these men meant that we had peace and security from then on. We didn't learn from history on that occasion. I think for me it is intensely personal. I think it's encountering someone who gave their life, but also who gave me life, or more specifically, my grandfather, and then my mother, and through her to me. And you cannot help but flick back, being a bit of a movie buff, to that scene from Saving Private Ryan. And there are some similarities in that my great-grandmother lost not only her husband, George Hutton Walton, but also her two brothers just a few miles from here in the Great War. And I think back to that time, and I think of that movie where there's that scene where Captain Miller has found Private James Ryan and is tasked with getting him home. And they're on the bridge at Rommel, and there's tanks advancing, and Tom Hanks, who plays Captain Miller, turns to Matt Damon, who plays to James Ryan, and whispers to him, "Earn this." And then very poignantly at the end of the movie, there's a scene where an older man appears before a grave, probably much as I am, 50 years old and a grandfather now myself, and looks at the grave, and he turns to his wife and he said, "Did I earn it? Have I lived a good life?" And you find yourself asking that question. It's a very personal question, and it's a very pertinent question for us all, which is brought all the more real when you see people who literally sacrificed their lives so that you could have freedom and life in yours.